What's up, guys? This is the Swolverine, the effing machine, Mr. GMSI, BrianCage, and you listen to the Hot Tag Podcast, THTpodcast.com. Check it out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are back, the Hot Tag Podcast. You can check us out at THTpodcast.com or Mixler.com/THTpodcast. Today, we got a special guest. Once again, we got current Lucha Underground superstar, former PWG Tag Team Champion. He's wrestled all across the world, Mr. GMSI himself, the unbreakable machine, BrianCage. How's it going, man? Welcome to the show.
Hey, man, things are going great. Just left the gym, got my pump on. Things are going good.
Man, I'm surprised you leave the gym.
Yeah, I got to eat, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there you go.
Otherwise, I would just stay there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's start off with this. I know you grew up as a wrestling fan, and one of your favorites was Shawn Michaels. And you also had a relationship with Chris Kanyon, and how was it working with him?
With who, Kanyon?
Yeah.
Oh, it was phenomenal. It ranks up there still as in my top three, not only favorite matches, but just top three favorite moments. Maybe not even in wrestling, but just in my life. Like, it was like such an honor, such a great moment.
Yeah. Is that where the Chris Logan name came from in FCW?
Correct. So I was trying to think of a different name, and I wanted to be Cage. So I was like, oh, what if I change it to like Logan Cage? They're like, no. And I was like, what about like Logan Wolf? They're like, no. And I was like, huh, because the Logan gimmick was like the Wolverine deal. And I'm like, oh, what about Chris Logan? Chris being to him, and that's why, even though it's like how a girl spells it, that's why I spelled it with a K for the Canyon part. So I was like, that wasn't my favorite name, but at least there was meaning behind it, as opposed to just some random name like Lucky Cannon that sucks balls, or Michael McGillicuddy. Geez, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I bet that's where the name came
Yeah,
from.
so you kind of lucked out with the names, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you also you were in the WWE territories also, and you were in Deep South. And how was it training up there, and who were you around? And if anybody made it out of Deep South that is on the current roster, TNA, Lucha Underground, WWE, who do you still have a relationship with from WWE?
Well, Deep South, when I got there, Bill DeMott was the trainer. He was there for about 6 weeks, and then Tom came in, and Dr. Tom Pritchard is, no disrespect to Bill, too, and obviously has a lot of people have their differences about Bill's training, but regardless, Dr. Tom is hands down the freaking greatest trainer I've ever been in the ring with. The main person that was in Deep South that, as far as that I still get along with and that made out developmental and that I have a good relationship with would be Tyson Kidd.
Nice.
He was great. Down Deep South, I was down the Truth and Major Brothers, which was, Hawkins and Ryder. Freaking Drew Galloway was down there. Who else? He got released and came back. His name was Roughhouse Ryan O'Reilly then, but he's part of the Ascension now.
Okay.
I know there's a few others, but and then then I was back in FCW as well. I'm really good friends with Justin Gabriel, PJ Black, who just left there. I was down with Sheamus and I don't know, loads other. He just kind of dropped names like, oh yeah, I was down with them. So
Yeah, definitely. Now, speaking of Justin Gabriel, PJ Black, you're actually going to be facing him May 3rd in Canada at Destiny World Wrestling. Have you ever faced him before, and are you looking forward to working with him?
Oh, I'm so stoked to working with him. We were tag team champions in FCW and actually roommates for pretty much the entire time we both lived in Florida, going to developmental. So we know each other really well. We're really good friends. We had one match together. And it was one of my favorite matches in FCW. So I'm really looking forward to it. Matter of fact, right when he quit, I was talking to him, and that was like one of the first things he said. Like, oh man, I hope we get to work each other or tag, on the Indies like really soon. And boom, sweaty oosh, we got it booked, and I'm looking forward to it. It's one of my most anticipated matches thus far.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. I gotta see that. Oxman, you got a question?
Yeah, speaking of, since we were talking about some of the WWE guys, I know for a while, I'm not sure if you're still involved in it. Are you still involved in the Body Spartan thing with Gabe Tuft or formerly Tyler Rex?
Yeah, we're really good friends.
Okay, yeah, in fact, you might want to mention that.
Matter of fact, I just got some body smart and a little of those sleeveless hoodies he has just recently, and been supporting those. And actually, we're going to be in the process of helping him diet and compete for his first bodybuilding show himself. So I'm gonna coach him along the way.
Yeah, I found out that you've done a few of those and actually won the what was it, the Fresno Classic in 2013.
Oh yeah, I've won my last 3 overalls.
Wow.
So the Fresno Classic, the NorCal Championship, and the Mr. Chico.
Wow, man, that's pretty good. Since you're heavily involved in both wrestling and the bodybuilding, which one kind of piqued your interest first?
Oh, wrestling, hands down. That's why I actually can wrestle, because I'm a wrestler that happens to bodybuild. I'm not a bodybuilder trying to be a wrestler. So, and people always ask, like, oh, which one you like more? I'm like, bodybuilding's fun and it's a hobby. And I mean, it's a lifestyle I live regardless, but I only do it just exactly for that, for fun. Whereas wrestling is, my love, my desire, my passion, my profession, like that, hands down, is first and foremost.
Nice. Very nice.
Now, my first exposure to you was when you were teaming with Michael Elgin, and you guys were the Unbreakable Machines. Honestly, that was one of the most underrated tag teams as far as I can remember, because you guys are big guys. And you guys have agility. You guys can do high flying stuff. You guys can do, big power moves. I thought it was just a perfect formula. When was the last time you actually got in the ring with Michael Elgin? And any chance you guys are going to reunite in the future?
Last time we worked together was, I don't know. I mean, it was one of the PWG shows. What was it? Maybe was it GT4 or maybe no. It was a triple threat match, Mystery Vortex 2, where we went over on AR Fox and ACH and Rich Swann and Ricochet. And then we were supposed to team at the anniversary show last year, but I tore my hamstring, and I was out of that. And then we were supposed to team again against Gulak and Busick at the Bola, but I was still out from an injury. So I missed the gate on those, and then the next show he wasn't booked, and then Ring of Honor re-upped everybody's contracts and to like those top 10 talents, and made them not allowed to work the indies within the country. So unless we get booked together somewhere, I'm not sure if they can do Canada or not. I'm sure how that works. But let's say it's somewhere international. Elgin and I won't be working together unless he leaves or something changes in his contract, which sucks big time. I know he was. He's been pushing hard for me to get to ROH for a long time, but and that was like there was a loophole for me to do it with Lucha Underground, but now it's kind of iffy as far as the broadcasting networks. There was like a little heat with some issues, so I don't know. I mean, I'd love for it to happen as far as working ROH and or working with Elgin again. So I'm sure it'll happen. Whether it's in a few months or a few years, I'm sure it'll happen again. I just don't know where or when. Definitely.
Now, speaking of Lucha Underground, which you can check out on Wednesdays on the El Rey Network at 8 o'clock.
Tomorrow night.
That's
there
right.
You go. Tomorrow night. That's the Wednesday Night Wars. I see you retweet that. I like that. There you go.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, you of course you work with Ricochet in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla plenty of times, and now working with him in Lucha Underground. You guys obviously have chemistry. Is it kind of funny looking back at the indie days and seeing you guys in the same locker room on a different platform, especially a unique platform like Lucha Underground, because it is unique. It's not like anything else that's on TV as far as the texture on the walls, the atmosphere, everything is different.
And that's why I think it's creating such a good buzz and is doing so well, is because it finally is something different. Everything else is always a second-rate B version of WWE at best. And I think this is doing well because it's not trying to be WWE, it's just trying to be something different, a different genre, a different, flavor of ice cream, if you will. And, no, it's awesome. I mean, I think Rich is phenomenal, personally and professionally. And we've done a few tag stuff, but I actually have never worked in one-on-one until Lucha Underground. These have been our first singles matches we've ever had. So I was stoked to be able to get those opportunities. And it's a blast working together.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
Boxman, you got a question?
Matter of fact, that's what to tomorrow night. We got it's me and Prince Boom for the title in the street fight. So it's
that
a good
should
one.
be good.
There you go. Check it out tomorrow on the El Rey Network.
Actually, yeah. Speaking of the way your power moves and high flying, somehow you found that perfect blend of power moves and high flying. I mean, have you always done the high-flying moves, or is that something that you just kind of threw in later in your career?
You know what? I was just talking about this the other day. Like, the older and, like, bigger I've gotten, I've actually, like, gotten more agile to some degree. Like I feel like I can't move around as well as I used to when I was a little smaller, a little lighter. But, yeah, I mean, I was doing a lot of the flippy stuff that I was doing then, and I don't know. It's just crazy. I mean, like I've never backflipped before in my life, and I have those videos on my Instagram where I'm busting them out back and forth. So, I don't know. I think I've just always, strived to push myself to the limit at stuff physically wise, and that's always just been something that's interested me. I just never thought I could do it, and I just said F it and started trying, and it's just been awesome. And too, before, I really never had a lot of opportunities or places to really do it, especially to work in the indies, and even when I wasn't as big as I am now, even then I'm working guys who are like 5'3", 125 pounds, so why am I going to try to flip off anything under them,
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just got, I don't even remember when the first time I did anything, but I did it and be freaked out. And I tried to give it away like candy because I think it kind of ruins it a little bit. But, I mean, I definitely like to do it to have that wow factor that people don't expect to see.
Definitely.
Now, one of the matches that I watched from you was you against Bestia 666. And for the listeners listening right now that don't know who Bestia is, he's Damien 666's son. Any chance of seeing him in Lucha Underground? That's one of the guys that I would love to see in Lucha Underground. I think that would be a perfect fit. Any chance of seeing him up there?
No idea. I haven't heard anything, about him being used or being brought in. So not to say that means he won't, but I've heard nothing.
Yeah, definitely. That would be awesome if they can make that happen. But we're briefly talking about this off air. But we had Chris Dickinson on a couple weeks ago, and great guy. He's got a bad reputation now, apparently, for the wrestling fans for some odd reason. But what are your thoughts on Chris Dickinson and his recent actions that got so much heat from the fans?
Flipping amazing. I love it. I popped so hard for it. You know what? When I found out he was working Kimberly, I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Because, like going back to the Unbreakable FM machines, a lot of people in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla were always like, I want to see, Elgin and Cage versus Candice and Joey. And I'm like, well, why? We would destroy them. And like, no, it would be fun. And even Joey was like, they should barely bump for me. How the hell are they going to bump for Candice? And exactly what I'm like, regardless of things being predetermined or not, like, it's just so far out of the realm of realism for either of us to be bumpy for Candice. That's no shot at her. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, Young Bucks can do it, and there's certain people and characters, and Joey himself, that can work around that way, but, like, Dickinson's not a small guy either, and he's, like, so intense, and I was, like, kind of dogging him a bit, giving him a hard time. I was like, well, you're going to work a chick? Come on, man. And he goes, no, man, I beat that thought if I'm, I'll give him the greatest match of the life, blah, 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 blah. And I didn't know what incident. I'm like, what is this? So I called him up, and he's like, he starts cutting a promo on me. He's like, you want to give me a hard time? I went out there, and I destroyed that girl, and yada, 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 yada. And I saw the video, and I thought it was so awesome. And I don't know what all the heat is about. I know it's kind of turned around a little bit because everybody's like thought it was so real. But, I mean, the main reason I was like, oh, come on. If he would have done that to, he's in his crew, like somebody like Pinky over there, who's roughly the same exact size as Kimberly, if you will, no one would have give a shit. You know what I mean? It's because she's a chick. People go, oh my God. Well, you know what? It's pro wrestling. And if they don't want that to happen, well, then don't be a pro wrestler then. And like the old timers always say, it's not ballet. So I don't know why everybody, I don't know. And I mean, when she signed up for it, she knew what was going on. And, it wasn't like you raped her or something.
Right.
So I thought it was awesome. And I mean, he may have got a little bit of backlash, but ultimately I think it will benefit him and her for the long run. And that too, I don't know why it's not more of a plus for her too, because like Candice got over so much this past summer in that ladder match with the Bucks. When she took a hell of a beating, she got that super kick with the thumbtacks, and like she started bleeding, like stuck pig, and that got her over as far as like, oh my God, is chicks taking this stuff? Because exactly, you don't see girls, getting that violent or getting that much of a beating, especially from a guy. So like people got more behind her for show of her heart and respect of like, oh man, this chick's legit. So I don't know why that's more backlash on Chris when it should be. I don't know if there should be anything on Chris, and even then, I think there should be more positive behind Kimberly for freaking taking it.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was pretty much the same situation, and that's what kind of surprised me is that the Bucks didn't really get too much heat for that, and everything kind of came on Chris Dickinson, and I think he gets the business. You know, he's being a great heel, and that's what it is. It's wrestling. You know, it's not. It's yeah. People are just they're too sensitive nowadays.
Very sensitive.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely. But actually, you got a match coming up in AAA with I believe you're gonna be with Pentagon Jr., Phantasma, and you're gonna be facing off against Alberto El Patron, formerly known as Del Rio, Mysticis, formerly known as Sin Cara, and also Lucha Underground's Phoenix. Have you ever worked with Del Rio before? And are you looking forward to this match? Because this looks like a dream match. This is something I definitely want to see.
It actually already happened. It happened just like a few weeks ago, down in AAA, and it went well. I had worked with Del Rio back in FCW. I believe I was like one of his first matches he had, and you know we had a great time. I know he put me over. He put I think it was me, TJ, PJ, maybe Heath Slater were like his like top four like people he thought they were worth a damn there. So, I'm excited to keep getting work with him. I was actually supposed to work him in a street fight this past weekend, or excuse me, the weekend before this last weekend, for that Rey de Reyes pay-per-view, but it got canceled back-to-back, and then due to, it was because of rain and because of some sort of freaking permit policy thing during national. It was a lot of BS. It sucked. It wasn't their fault, and I know it's, not going to didn't make them or anybody look good. And they moved it to Wednesday, then neither him or I could make that date. So it's still going to happen, just obviously didn't happen at that show. But, I'm looking forward to a long-lasting feud down there with Del Rio.
Definitely. Well, I'm glad it happened already. That way I can watch it faster. I got to get my hands on a copy. I need to see this.
Yeah, I know it's online.
I got to see this. Boxman, you got another question?
Yeah, it's kind of pretty far off topic, but I was going to ask you about kind of how it was working with Percy Pringle or Paul Bearer back in NWA Hollywood.
Ooh, good question. I was stoked when I heard that we were going to get him as a manager. I was ecstatic, and I remember the first time he came in and like he cut like a solo promo first. Just like a post-match promo or whatever by himself, just putting us over. And, oh, man, it was so funny because, this guy would go, that guy would go, this guy would go. Then Percy comes up, and he cuts the solo promo. And it was just so damn good. And just like, it was like somebody freestyling and dropping the mic afterwards. He just killed it, man. He just killed it. He was so awesome. And I was like, dude, this is great. We get to work with him. And such a nice guy, such a good guy. Him and his sons. And, it was a bummer having him pass, but he was definitely a God-fearing guy, a spiritual person, and his wife had passed, a little while before him, so I know he'd speak of her. So it's always sad to see someone go, but I feel like, he's definitely in a better place and with her and probably happier down there. So, it's sad he's not with us and we didn't get to work more, but, I'm glad he's probably doing better now.
All right, cool.
All right.
Definitely. Well, speaking of PWG again, you also worked with Drake Younger, which is one of my favorites. He was great at deathmatch wrestling, any kind of wrestling, made it in any company that he ever went to, and he's currently a referee in NXT for people that don't know. Any thoughts on him, and were you guys friends outside of the wrestling business?
Yeah, no, we're good friends too. Actually, I was in Florida back in January when we tried to meet up. It didn't happen, but I'm sure I'll see him again. But no, Drake is phenomenal talent. It's crazy how good he is and how much crazy shit he'll take in the deathmatch stuff because he is a really good wrestler. And usually, it's kind of like the unwritten rule of thumb is guys that do a lot of deathmatch stuff do it because they can't work. They just have all right, I'll throw some barbed wire on me and hit me with the center block and whatever, and I'll get cheap pops because the stuff's crazy. But Drake, freaking, he can go. He's just as good as anybody, and he has the deathmatch stuff. So, He's awesome, and he's such a positive guy. Like, the most positive guy I've ever seen in my life. When I first met him, I thought the guy was high on so many drugs. I've never seen someone so just happy-go-lucky and just such an outgoing person. It's so funny. But, no, he's a good guy, and a lot of people would feel kind of shunned, you know, of being a referee, about getting, like, a referee position. Because obviously he had a trial for a wrestler, and then, you know, they really liked him, and they say, hey, look, basically this is the case. Like, you know, we don't really have anything for you wrestler-wise due to your size, but we can offer you a referee job. And he was stoked. Like, anybody else would be a little depressed, but he was stoked and so happy to have it. And, like, a plus factor in that, too, people may not realize is wrestler-wise, you have a good chance of getting cut shortly, like, in development. Like, you never know what's going to happen. Whereas referee, unless you have to really do something really bad and F up, you know, to lose your job. So it's a little more, you know, job security. You could have a freaking 10, 20-year job easily. It's not hard on your body. You're still making really good money on the road. You know, he's got a family. He's got 2 kids. So, you know, he was more than stoked to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I met him right before he went to NXT, and just like you said, he's the exact opposite of what you would expect. I think he's like the nicest guy ever. But I think he's actually playing it smart. He's saving his body from any further damage, so why not?
Yeah, it's funny, right? You go from crazy deathmatch wrestling to refereeing. It's complete polar opposites.
Yeah, definitely. You briefly did a couple matches in TNA. You worked with Robbie E in TNA in a dark match. You did a gut check with Jay Bradley, which I saw in Extreme Rising. That was my first time seeing him. You also did, more recently in 2014, you had a 3-way with Crazy Steven Sonata. What are your thoughts on your experience in TNA, and would you ever go back?
I've had no bad experience with TNA. I enjoyed all my time out there. You know, everyone had put me over. I mean, the only negative thing I can say is I don't know why the hell they didn't pick me or swoop me up after the very first gut check stuff. But, I mean, it is what it is. I was brought back for Destination X, and I was told because it was kind of, you know, giving me a second opportunity, and they even told me, like, most management felt like you should have won gut check. So I thought we were going to work together more, you know, after that, and it just, nothing really happened, and then after deal with Spike and stuff was kind of all on hold, and so I said, you know what, I'm going with Lucha Underground, and, you know, I'm totally happy with that and happy there, and I have no intention of searching elsewhere, you know, at the moment. I'm totally content and happy. But like I said, again, I've no heat with TNA, and if something ever happened, you know, and I wanted to go back to the offer something, I was able to go back, whatever, I wouldn't have any qualms against it at all.
Definitely. I don't blame you, honestly. Not just saying this because you're on, but, you know, we talk about Lucha Underground as hands down probably the best product right now as far as entertainment and just being unique.
Yeah, unique.
Oh, for sure. Like, I'm not even be biased because I'm on it, you know, because I watched the episodes I'm not on, and yeah, it's. I think it's the coolest product right now.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely gets people emotionally invested. It reminds me of the old ECW, you know, and that's what it seems like. Even on Twitter, you see all the wrestlers for Lucha Underground. They legitimately want to plug their shows. It's not because they're being fed, you know, plugs. You can tell that these guys actually like working there, and you know, they believe in the product, which is really nice. You know, that's definitely going to help it out.
That's probably the number one feature that makes Lucha Underground like the best place I've ever worked is the fact that it's actually fun. There's like no bullshit, no politics, nobody's down, nobody's depressed, everybody's, you know, working together, everybody's stoked to be there, everybody has a great time. It's just, there's so much unity, camaraderie, and it's just a good place to be, man. I've had, like I said, I had a good time seeing, I had a good time WWE, but this just is far and away the best place I've worked.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I got one last question. You also worked in Mexico. You work with guys like Blue Demon Jr. You've worked Juventud Guerrero, guys like that. What is the main difference between Mexican crowds and the crowds in the States?
Well, you know what, too, I've noticed there's difference, because I've worked lucha shows, too, like outside of Lucha Underground, in the States, and I've worked lucha shows in Mexico, and, I mean, there's a little more character that you want to play, but I feel like the shows in Mexico, they still want, like, you know, some high spots, some cool stuff, and I feel like kind of the ones in the States want more, like I've gone out there and had, like, a PWG-esque match, for instance, and it doesn't really get over that well. Then I've gone there and done nothing, literally, like, just like a body slam and a kick, and I just, you know, taunt the crowd, and they're so into it. I'm like, well, this sucks. I mean, it's easy, but I'm not one of the guys that wants to do, like, the less is more easy match, you know, we don't have to work hard. Like, you know, I'm going to go to the show and I want a GMSI. I can't say, well, shit, and have a great match, and and work my tail off to do it too. And then obviously down in Mexico, especially there, you got there's a total different type of psychology in matches. There's about 6-man tags, and the rules are a lot more lenient, and like the heels are pretty much in there the whole time, like without any tags. And so I mean, there's little different variations, but I mean the best thing I say about Latino crowd, whether it's in the States or in Mexico, is they are without a doubt probably like the most believable crowd there is. I mean, it doesn't matter how phony or something may look, like they're so embedded in it and so behind it. And like, when I've gone over at Blue Demon Jr., the crowd will freaking go into a complete frenzy and start throwing stuff into the crowd and like throwing crap at you and trying to riot and like jump the rail. Like, it's awesome. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like they get so behind it. It's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. You see a lot of the regulars at Lucha Underground. Is it kind of like ECW where the same people would come?
Oh, fan-wise?
Yeah.
There's people I know like they're there pretty much every time, but I mean, I guess I haven't noticed anybody that like stands out to me or like, oh hey, Johnny is over here with his red hat every single time, like nothing like that. But man, you can tell everybody knows who everybody is, and that's one thing too. Like a lot of people thought a lot of this stuff is fed or cam, like all the chants and the audience, the noise and everything. But no, they're freaking diehard and amazing fans, and they're super into it and just behind everybody and everything. And I mean, it's all organic and real. Yeah,
definitely. And before we let you go, unfortunately, we lost El Hijo del Perro this weekend. The tragedy that happened. Did you ever get to work with him? And if so, any memories of him?
You know what? I never did, and I only had met him briefly in time. He had the last AAA event. And matter of fact, he just picked me up when the show got canceled on Sunday. He actually was the one that came and picked me up on Monday to take me to the venue. Him and Conan, and we're all talking, and Conan was putting him over and stuff too. And it was crazy too, because I just recently saw a picture of him, and for some reason it reminded me of Hector Garza. And I was like, oh whoa! I was like, didn't that guy die? And I'm like, oh wait, no, that's Pharaoh. And then literally like 2 days later, like it was just too ironic. I was like, no way! And I was actually supposed to be at that show Friday, and I chose not to go due to having my son for spring break, just because I've been traveling so much, and because otherwise I would have been there. And I saw it on my flight to LA for Lucha Underground. I saw a thing on Twitter about it, and like I didn't think it was real, and it was in Spanish. I couldn't tell what it said, but I was like, no, he didn't die, did he? And then I got picked up, and there was some of the guys from AAA down there, and everybody was just, you could just feel the demeanor. And the morale was so low and depressing. I'm like, wait a minute. So I looked, back up online and searched it, and obviously that was the case. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, we were just with this guy like a couple days ago. I'm like, and I mean, talk about a freak accident. That was just, I don't even understand how it happened.
Yeah, that was definitely a shocker.
It was
definitely a tragedy. So, but once again, man, thank you so much for coming on the show. And you can check out the Machine BrianCage Sunday, May 3rd. In Canada, he's going to be doing Destiny World Wrestling, and he's going to be facing PJ Black, a.k.a. Justin Gabriel. You're actually going to be facing off against Cedric Alexander also in Maryland Championship Wrestling, Friday, April 24th, 2015, of course. Check that out, MCW. I'm looking forward to that, man. Cedric Alexander and you guys.
Two big debut promotions for me, two great matches. I'm really looking forward to it, so.
Yeah, I know you're going to tear it down. Nice. Definitely. And you can also check them out, of course, on the El Rey Network every Wednesday, 8 o'clock, Lucha Underground. Check it out.
Definitely.
Hey, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Appreciate it, Brian. Thanks.
No problem, guys. Thanks for reaching out and having me come on. I'll drop some stuff like that, too. Go get your BrianCage merch or swag at ProWrestlingTees.com/BrianCage. Follow me at Twitter, Mr. GMSI_BCage. And the old IG Instagram account, just BrianCage. But all right, guys. Well, thanks again. Check out that AAA match, the 6-man tag. There'll be more to come. The match tomorrow, Lucha Underground. Me and Prince Puma, we tear the house down. So sure, check it out. And all right, guys. Well,
we will.
You guys have a good night now. All right. What's up, guys? This is the Swolverine, the effing machine, Mr. GMSI, BrianCage, and you listen to the Hot Tag Podcast, THTpodcast.com. Check it out.